up in Chaslin's bed. It should have been no big deal. They were both adults, both unattached. But Chaz didn't realize the heat they generated belonged only to Bernie and Lulu. She didn't realize that underneath Bernie's volatile character, Jed felt damn close to nothing. That he rarely felt anything at all. He picked up the glass of whiskey and brought it up to his nose, breathing in the familiar aroma. He closed his eyes, anticipating its smoothness against his tongue, the bite as it hit the back of his throat, the warmth that would rush through him, down to his stomach and outward, all the way to the tips of his fingers and toes. "You actually going to drink that this time?" Jed opened his eyes to see Austin Franz sliding onto the stool on his other side. Franz was a brilliant cinematographer and one of the meanest sons of bitches in the industry. He'd gotten it into his head that he'd have stood a chance with Chaslin, had Jericho Beaumont not pushed him out of the running. Rhino and T.S. shifted in their seats, exchanging a glance. "Are you?" Franz asked again. Jed couldn't answer. He never knew for sure if he was going to drink the whiskey or not. Not until he got up and walked out of the bar. So far, he'd always walked away. He sidestepped the question, giving Franz his movie star smile, open, friendly. "I'd just like to smell it." "You've been sober how long?" Franz asked. "It'll be 5 years next week." "Shit, that long? You must want to drink that pretty damn badly." Jed gazed into the shot glass. "Go away, Austin," Rhino said, his squeaky voice in direct contrast to his girth. "So what's your next movie going to be, Jer?" Franz asked. "Jericho doesn't like nicknames," T.S. supplied helpfully. Jed's smile was starting to feel decidedly tired. It was public knowledge that he didn't have a next movie yet. He called his agent, Ron Stapleton, twice a day. But apparently, even after being clean and sober for 5 years, even after showing up every day on time for meantime, no one wanted to touch him. The best he had was a potential meeting with the producer of another independent feature. He'd have to fly to Boston, even pay for the airline tickets himself, with no guarantee he'd get the part. And until Ron sent him the script, he wasn't even sure he wanted it. Frustration twisted inside of him. "Nothing's lined up yet," he said cheerfully. "An Oscar-worthy performance." "I'm taking a few months off myself," Franz told him. "And then I'm going into pre-production with Stan for this really hot 1930s gangster story. Stan liked you for the lead, but since I'm producing this time around, I talked him out of it." He was lying. He was trying to piss Jed off, and it was working. Jed turned his smile up a few notches. "It's just as well. I try not to work with the same director twice in a row." "Come on, Jericho," T.S. said. "I'll challenge you to a game of video downhill skiing." "I'll challenge you to a different game. You ever play quarters?" Franz stopped Jed with a hand on his arm. Franz was holding him so tightly, he would have had to really pull to get away. This was the way bar fights started. He knew. He'd been in enough of them in the past. He briefly closed his eyes. "Austin, I'm sorry about Chaslin. I honestly didn't know that you were—" "Screw Chaslin," Franz laughed harshly. "Well, shit, you already did that, didn't you?" "Just forget about it, Jerry. She obviously has. This is just a nice, friendly wager. I'm not into gambling. One game of quarters, that's all." Quarters was a drinking game where the players took turns bouncing coins off the bar in an attempt to sink one in their opponent's drink. When a quarter was sunk, the opposing player had to drain the glass. Jed had played plenty in his late teens, but usually with beer, not whiskey. Franz reached for the bottle of Jack, pouring himself a shot. "One game. If you win or tie, I'll let Stan cast you in the gangster project. And if I lose?" "You win anyway, since you really want to drink that shot. I'd just be giving you a good excuse." He pushed a quarter down the bar. Jed stared into Franz's eyes, feeling